Hey guys, today I'm going to be taking you through step-by-step process how to make this foil tail for an Armstrong kit. Alright, let's break it down. So, first of all, you want to have a look in your area for old shit that you don't need anymore. Like this. This is Perspex. And you want to put some tape on it so you can mark out your design look, and then so you can cut it properly. Yeah, that is awesome. Right there. Bang. All right, after you've drawn your template, then what you need to grab is one of these or similar. Put a battery in it. And cut it. And you should come out with something like this, or this, depending on how far you want to go with the cutting. And the next step is obviously sanding. So after we've cut out our tail template, obviously to get it to this sort of thinness, so we come over here and we sand away for about half an hour into the desired shape, size, and thinness, chord, blah blah blah. Don't even worry about that, honestly. Just sand it the way you want. It's not going to be amazing anyway. So now that we have this, wondering how you're going to connect it to your fuselage. Now these do not have thread. Alright. Stock Armstrong tail has thread in them. So the way they connect is the bolt going through that fuselage connection to your tail. So then what you need to do, tap a thread into the tail. Now, depending on what size your bolts are that screw into your tail on your kit, for Armstrong it's M6, you're going to need, this is an M6 tap. Now, we don't go full ball straight in. You have the tail to a degree where you're happy to now start hand sanding. Before you start refining, it's best to make sure how it fits on the fuselage. So what we want to do is we want to make sure our drill that we drill through first is just under the size of our tap. So if that's M6, we probably want to go metric 5 drill bit, not this. And we want to drill very carefully so we don't split the material. If we have our drilled holes, we then insert the tap, keeping it square, and we go like this and tap the threads. Then once they are tapped, we want to make sure that our bolts fit. It should screw into our tail, like so. Now what you want to do is test fit the tail onto your fuselage. So as we can see, just threaded the bolts in a little bit to my tail, threaded nicely. Yes, there is a red shim in there. I like to run a red shim when I ride normal tails. So as we can see, the tail to fuselage connection is quite flush. In terms of topside connection, there will not be much drag. As you can see, that's quite nice and flat. And how we get that connection so flush is we actually sand the tail to fit the fuselage like a stock Armstrong tail would. We want to get it nice and flush because we want the least drag that's not causing lift as possible. If you have your tail to this point, go and give it a test ride, and then from there, tune appropriately with sandpaper. Now, if you're at the part where I am currently, and you've ridden the tail and it's given you a bit of feedback, and you're wondering why it's giving you that feedback, a good way to establish a symmetrical shape is to outline and sand until you get the outline on the other side. So just by looking at it, we can see that this left side is a little bit smaller than the right side. And that translates to, when we're going through the water, this side on the left obviously has less resistance to go this way. So when we do a pump, as tested yesterday, we come up, and because this is pushing on the water more on the right side, we tend to get a lean to the left as we're coming up through our pump. So yesterday I could tell that the foil would glide down pretty well. As we're coming up, it's weightless and it wants to roll, not that dramatically, but this way. So now what I'm doing is I've got this, and you want to do your small side because you can't add more, you can only take away. So you've got to be careful. So a perfect outline of this, I want to look dead top over, is here. And then what we want to do, and this is not an exact science, but flip our other side around and match it up with this bottom line, because obviously the bottom's flat, or you hope so. And we can see that this tip sticks out. This section through here is fine. This needs a trim. This needs a trim. This section's fine. So what we want to do is color in where we want to sand back, and we keep checking this mark to see where we are, and hopefully we can get a symmetrical shape by the end of it. All right, final stage of DIY tail production is obviously your makeshift cover. This is just a hand towel with 2 elastic bands. All right, so final look at it. Once you've got it to where you want it to be, you can then go down to 180 grit, 360 grit, 800 grit, 2000 grit sandpaper all the way, and then give it a polish with a buff. And as you can see, it's pretty much X-ray. I did put some paint on there. Give you a better look through here. So I'm probably going to call it the X-ray 190. And yeah, there she is in all her glory. See you out there.